All right, welcome back. And a little story time today. How about that? Um, Basically what I want to do is I want to just kind of bring you up to speed. This is really just a couple days into it already that we've shut down the gym, and lots of great questions from folks, and some confusion as well. So I'm just going to try to communicate as much as I can to try to get that out there so that we can help answer some questions. And story time, I was going to, been thinking about the early days of CrossFit Glen, Burnie, and CrossFit Fort Meade, a story you may have heard before or you may not have heard. And it's definitely going to be new to some of you, I'm sure. The CrossFit community at CrossFit Fort Meade started in 2008, and they would meet on Mapesfield, eventually moved indoors to Gaffney, I believe, briefly, and then eventually made their way to the basement of a Marine barracks. I think they referred to it as the Armory. And if you ever see any pictures from back in the day, you had to kind of position yourself in the space as best you can, because there were some overhead, there were some vents and beams and things like that. So where you stood inside of the space kind of determined whether or not you could do double unders or snatches and things like that. Box jumps could be a problem, I suppose. And they had a nice little pull-up rig around along the wall, and then had a separate room in the back for where they had some rowers. And folks would come down for the noon or lunchtime workout, and they would see people rolling in and stuff like that. So the emphasis was definitely on the community and on the workouts. And the community would be posting their blog, their daily blog on a it was like a WordPress site where they would have the daily workout. They'd post a little picture maybe of the workout or the whiteboard, and basically we're just kind of figuring out how fitness was going to be done here, and really some of the early days of CrossFit for sure. So the community was doing really well, regardless of kind of like the space. They were able to look past that and make the best of the situation. And over time, they would collect some dues, and that would allow them to buy some new equipment. So there was definitely pictures on the blog of some new equipment coming in, and plates and mats and things like that. And they eventually were able to fill out the space pretty well. In November-ish of 2011, they learned that the command was going to renovate that space. They were no longer going to have access to it. And the word at that time was they had about 2 weeks in order to move out. And so they definitely lobbied, and they tried to get another space available, and that fell through. But that 2-week period actually turned into only a week, and it was pretty much everything all at once, where all of the equipment had to be moved out. And my understanding is that a lot of the equipment was kind of shared out to different folks, but the bulk of it was moved into the Burns family garage. I know them as the Burns family. The folks that were definitely working out in the community knew them much more than I do. They were very close as far as working out together. And so, the family opened up their garage, and they moved in the rowers, and they moved in the bumper plates, and they would have the workouts on the weekends, and folks would come over for that. The Saturday, I believe, is when they were doing that. Maybe Sunday too. If you know the Burns family, I'd love to hear their side of the story on that. As the military family life would have it, the Burns family PCS'd about 6 months into that. And once again, we had to find, well, I say we, but I wasn't there at the time. The community had to find a new home for the equipment. And so that's where Vanessa and Matthew White basically came into the picture. Well, I mean, they were definitely part of the community, but that's where they were like, well, we've got a garage on post. We can move it in there. So, they loaded up the truck, moved all the whatever equipment they had and bumper plates and kettlebells and the 2 rowers. I believe there were, I could be wrong on the number of rowers, Vanessa, you can let me know. I seem to recall there being 2. The big CrossFit Fort Meade tire and what did they do? Well, they would again continue to meet out on the weekends. There are pictures of people doing some handstand push-ups out around the corner. I remember going out myself when we were just getting together to try to look into getting our own space so that CrossFit Fort Meade and CrossFit Glen Burnie could come together. And it was my first CrossFit workout with CrossFit Fort Meade, and the workout that day had overhead squats and ring muscle ups, and I couldn't do either one of them, and then afterwards we did some max height box jumps. And so we positioned the boxes on the sidewalk near the driveway, and Max, Brian, and myself were definitely taking turns trying to see who could jump the highest on that. I think Max probably had a higher box jump, but there was definitely a lot of competition between Brian and Max, and I really didn't have too much luck that way. Although of the 3 movements that we had that day, the box jump was the one that I actually was able to do okay. So I'm telling you a story because it's your story as far as the very early days of CrossFit Fort Meade and CrossFit Glen Burnie. The thing that is a constant throughout this whole journey has been the community. It has never been the space or the equipment that has made it what it is, and it will continue to always be defined by the people, by the coaches, the staff, the community, caring for one another. And that's always going to be what this community is all about, regardless of what space we have. And that's just who we are, and that's just what we do. So if you're new around here, you might want to start getting used to it. We love having the space we have, and God willing, we'll be back in there before we know it, and we'll be able to get in there and do some maintenance, maybe some painting before we get in and whatnot, and make it look nice. But right now we are not in the space or in the gym, but we are one community, and it's exciting times for sure. I just wanted to share that story with you. Let's look at some of the things that we're doing that we did today and that we're planning to do tomorrow, just so you can be up to speed on where we're at with things. So this morning, Vanessa, Andrea, and myself got together. We were reaching out to the coaches, finding their availability, so that we can match them up with each of you, so that you can have some good personal attention and be well taken care of. We also matched that up with a survey so that we could get it out into your hands, and you can help us to make that match. So you may have seen that survey. If you haven't, please take a minute to fill it out and get it back to us so that we can do our best to match that up. And then the next steps on that is going to be that your coach is going to be reaching out to you, and they're going to take really good care of you during this time. So more details to come on that, I'm sure. But we do have a meeting, an all hands meeting with all the coaches scheduled for 7:30 p.m. We're going to do it over Zoom. And that's where we're really going to help answer some questions specifically for them, so that they know how we're going to be working with each of you. Okay. What else did we do today? We did the workout. We did the workout of the day. We also talked about equipment, and tomorrow we're Vanessa, Andrea, and myself are going over to the gym in the morning. I think it's at 10 o'clock that we plan to get over there. And we're going to make a list and an inventory of all of the equipment that is going to be available to the coaches for you. And we're going to work out how that's going to actually happen. I know other gyms have opened up their doors and they set a time and people came in and they picked this and that and they went out and they picked this and that and they went out. But the reason I did not want to do that is that having a piece of equipment by itself is not a plan. It's not, it by itself is not going to make anyone more fit. Certainly you could use it. You can make the argument that, well, at least I could do some squats or at least I could do some kettlebell swings and things like that. Yes. But I want to get the coaches on board first so that they can really work with you specifically and individually so that they can take good care of you. And once that's in place, the next piece that's going to fall into place is the operations of getting the equipment out into their hands so that they can work with you. And I see that happening in week 2. So week 1's workouts are all body weight. A bunch of week 2 workouts are likely to be body weight. And then we're going to start introducing some weighted elements and some more variety in the workouts as well. I was reading an interesting article and was going through old folders and things that I have that whenever I was thinking about starting a garage gym, and definitely had an old article about training with a kettlebell, and it was all about all you need is one kettlebell, and we are going to get you really fit. So we're going to have an opportunity to do that kind of a thing very soon, and I need to get the whole community together and moving in one direction on this. So bear with me as we put these pieces in place, but I just wanted to let you know, what's happening, what happened today, what's happening tomorrow. And with those survey results coming back, matching you up with your coaches, getting everyone on board, getting those workouts of the day, and then having that coaching so that you can get CFGB's best and we can all be one community. Bear with me. But thank you so much for your attention. Take care and have a good day.